That's my presentation. Dr. Seoul will introduce that non-FDG PET. I don't know what's its contents, but I think maybe it's related with another PET used for nuclear medicine routine. Today, content of mine is the cyclotron-based radiopharmaceutical. So mainly that is F18 and C11 because of our cyclotron center also they produced I think most of radiopharmaceutical is related with F18 and C11. Some part I think weekly 2 or 3 times gallium labeling is happened, but I think the main radiopharmaceutical is F18 and C11. So before start of this class, we have to understand that the specific activity that is very important for this concept radio specific activity means the ratio of radioactivity to total mass of element present. Because of the, if for example, in case of C11 raclopride, that can bind into the dopamine D2 receptor. But unfortunately, C11 raclopride can possess that the C12 raclopride because of that our atmosphere huge amount of C12 and CO2, and C11 raclopride should be made by the after the reduction of the C11 CO2. So C11 CO2 plus C12 CO2 is there. So I think almost 99% of C11 species is the C12 CO2. So that's why that means we thought that is a C11 C11 raclopride, but plus there are huge amount of C12 raclopride is there. So if you understand that the C12 raclopride cannot make a radioactive signal because of C12 is a stable isotope. So more than 99% of C12 raclopride and only less than 1% C11 raclopride, still we could get the image of the dopamine D2 receptor imaging with the PET. So because of that extremely high sensitivity of the radioactive detector, such as a PET or any other kinds of radioactive detector, we can make image even in a less than 1% of C11 raclopride. So you should know that what is the meaning of the specific activity, that ratio of the C11 raclopride then C12 raclopride. That is the specific activity. So earlier we called that is a specific activity, but nowadays we can call the molar activity. We express that becquerel per mole. But in case of specific activity, we call the becquerel per gram. So please make sure that if you want to make a presentation or you can make a you can write the manuscript, you can see the we call the specific activity, but the term is becquerel per mole. Then you should correct that is a molar activity, not the specific activity. Okay. I think of 2014, our Society of Radiopharmaceutical Sciences, they decide to make a clear term. Molar activity means per mole, specific activity per gram. Okay. So this specific activity, if that has only C11 raclopride without C12 raclopride, then we call that is carrier free. But I think unfortunately C12 should be there because of the high amount of C12 CO2 in our atmosphere. So we call it that C12 raclopride is a carrier. Okay? So we can calculate carrier-free specific activity from this equation. And I think not so important, but we can calculate the highest theoretical specific activity from this equation. And here you can see this is the practical thing of the specific activity. Practically, 1,000 molecule is there, 5,000 molecule is there. Only one radioactive one is the highest one, high specific activity. We call that. So you can see I draw the axle, 5,000 axle nodule, and then I put the only one red one, but still we can catch this signal from our PET or any kinds of radioactive detector. So normally practical means of 1 from 1,000 molecule, and also we call this high molecular activity means 1,000 curie per millimole. Okay? So that means if you get more than 1,000 curie per millimole, then that we call that is a high specific activity. And you can see here fluorine 18, because of from this equation we can calculate theoretical specific activity. This is the highest specific activity from that equation. So normally C11 compound is higher than F18. Okay. Can you hear me? Anyone? 하나 둘 하나 둘 하나 둘 하나 둘. 하나 둘 하나 둘 하나 둘 셋 넷. No? Okay. 이거를 키면 어떨까요? 들리시나요? Can you hear me? Okay. I see. So you can see here after 8 times of half-life, then full of specific activity material is decreased this amount. So time is very important for our radiopharmaceutical chemistry. So because of these things, these features, so we have to do the so fast to synthesize radiopharmaceutical normally within 2 hours. Sometimes we can get only 20 or 30 minutes, especially for gallium-68 pharmaceutical, because of that has only 1 hour half-life. So you have to keep in mind that specific activity is very important for, especially for a receptor imaging agent.
So how many half-lives we can catch images?
It depends on the quantity of receptor. That's very important point. If that in case of such kinds of glutathione, that that means glutathione is everywhere in our body. So that is not so important, especially for PET imaging. So that's why we can do the glucose analog using FDG as a glucose analog, but still our body contains the glucose still there. So that's why that receptor quantity of receptor is very important. But in case of brain imaging agent, that receptor amount is less than the glutathione. So that's why in that case, specific activity is very important. So for every order brain receptor imaging agent, it depends on the number of receptor. But okay.
I mean, like after 2 half-lives, 3 half-lives, 4 half-lives, we can still acquire images.
So normal. I think a practical thing we think that after 4 times half-life, we cannot get normally. And in case of our study, after 10 times of half-life, that time we cannot get any images from our receptor imaging. Okay. And one more thing we have to know that positron range. Because of that, positron always possess their kinetic energy from the nucleus. So from nucleus, that in case of F18 nucleus, they make a positron. Then positron range
There is one check that there is one opening the microphone.
Then I think we can cut the speaker here. Is that right? Okay. Also, one more thing you have to keep in mind that the F18 and C11 is have a different positron range because of that kinetic energy of the positron of each radionuclide is different. So in case of F18, positron range is shorter than the C11. So that means one point that range, we can see the PET image, that range is make a blurring from the C11. So in case of F18, you can get a more sharp image. Okay? Almost, if you can make a C11 rock pride and F18 rock pride, then both of molecular structure is same, but that fineness of the image, F18 is better than the C11. So that can, because of that, is a physical property of these two radioisotope. Okay. To make a C11 and F18, as you know that in case of C11 we can make from the N14, and F18 we can make a O18 water. Then in case of carbon, that chemistry of carbon is somewhat harder than the F18 because of that C11. This carbon possesses that some kinds of. It can make an anion. Sometimes it can make a cation. So sometimes we can make this Grignard reaction with the magnesium or any other kinds of metal. Then we can make this kinds of cation. And also we can use this carbon as a as a substrate for a nucleophilic uptake. So normally I think C11 chemistry is related with the nucleophilic uptake from other nucleophile. So this carbon center can make a compound from the other nucleophile. Okay, so this carbon should be activated. Okay, so that's why we take the iodine or O triplet as a good leaving group, and then we can make kinds of different carbon radiopharmaceutical. In case fluorine, entirely different. So fluorine is itself has a they prefer to make a anion. So -1 charge is the most stable of the chemical species of F18. But this anion normally pursue that their hydrogen. So they act as a base, not the nucleophile. So that's why we should kept these kinds of phase transfer catalysts such as tertiary ammonium salt or cryptopix like that. So in case of using these different kinds of phase transfer catalyst, we can increase the nucleophilicity, not the basicity. Okay, so that's why they can use for as a nucleophile with this F18.
So, can we label more than element?
Because of the that has a same problem of the specific activity. You know that the F18 normally possess more than 99.999 of the F19. So because still there are some controversy because of we never use the F18 source from the cyclotron to the automatic module. But some people said that that the sealing material of the cyclotron in the target that is made from rubber or silicon rubber. Silicon rubber normally possess that fluorine. So high energy of the irradiation from the proton, then that F19 should be degraded, dissolved, and then we can possess that F19. Okay, so that's why. So your question is?
Is it now that the blue color?
Yeah.
Is it the place where we bind the other labeling like FDG or this one?
Yeah. So that's why only one F18 can label with only one molecule, not double insertion.
We cannot label two molecules.
Normally, as I mentioned, that the C11 from C11 CO2 we can make kinds of C11 methanol or methanol or any kinds of chemical species. Then we can make kinds of radiopharmaceuticals such as C11 acetate, other radio materials. So normally from here we can get the C11 methyl iodide. Methyl iodide is a chemical species for C11 methylation of any kinds of molecules. Earlier, methyl iodide only one chemical species for C11 methylation, but nowadays O triplet is better reactivity than the C11 methyl iodide. So normally C11 methyl iodide we have to increase the temperature, reaction temperature, but in case of C11 or triplate, we can use the room temperature for labeling. Here you can see the C11 methionine we can make from the C11 methyl iodide. Sometimes raclopride can make C11 or triplate. Okay. In case of F18 labeling, we directly label some precursor, and then F18 nucleophilic chlorination or electrophilic chlorination is happened. But sometimes we can make a prosthetic group or syntone, then we can put this syntone into the other molecule. Normally, this direct method can be done in a small molecule, such as small chemicals. But in case of indirect method, we can use for a protein labeling or peptide labeling. Because normally that direct method, we have to increase the temperature, reaction temperature. So that's why in case of F18 labeling, can use direct labeling method with the small molecule, indirect method with the protein or peptide. Earlier, F18 FDG, we can make from the F2 gas method. That time, that is the electrophilic substitution method that should be lower specific activity than this fluoride ion method. So, and after development of this phase transfer catalyst, then we can use fluoride ion as a nucleophile. Here you can see the F18 FDG reproduction method with the cryptopix 222. And sometimes aromatic nucleophilic chlorination can be done by this nitro or 3-ammonium salt. As I mentioned that this F2 gas method, we can do the F18 labeling, but normally low specific activity, worse specific activity because of that. We have to use the F2 gas, F19 F2 gas, cleaning this gas chamber. So that's why that specific activity is very low. So here you can see the several different types of aliphatic or aromatic electrophilic chlorination, and then you can see that syntone or prosthetic groups here. So F18 or C11 radiopharmaceutically is related with the brain tumor and then heart or cardiovascular imaging. Mainly brain imaging is related with the receptor or transport. Earlier that is called the transporter, but nowadays this is the reuptake site, not the transporter. And other part is amyloid beta plaque imaging or tau imaging agent for Alzheimer's disease. And then tumor imaging, that is related to the metabolism things or receptor imaging or direct labeling of the anti-cancer agent. And heart imaging also metabolism related one and receptor imaging. Here you can see there are so many different types of brain receptor or transporter here. Dopamine system, serotonin system, angular, benzodiazepine or cholinergic system. Here you can see the huge number of candidates. I think almost all, more than 90% have done in the Johns Hopkins. I think only 90, 70, 80 something. Haley Wagner, who is the inventor of these kinds of receptor imaging agent. So as you know that Myung-Chul Lee earlier. He was a visiting scientist in Johns Hopkins. Okay, every all the different kinds of receptor or transport imaging agent developed for different types of brain receptor or transporter system. Here you can see the dopaminergic neuron. We can make a dopamine synthesis imaging from the F-DOPA. Already we have a F-DOPA system. And post-septic system, D2 receptor, we can have a C11 rockrapide. And dopamine transporter, we have a FPCIT. Can purchase from outside of our hospital. So totally we can see the receptor and transporter and also synthesis from the for dopaminergic neuron. And here we can see the Professor Jamin Jung's brain of the dopamine receptor imaging. Earlier we made a C11 rockrapide and then we could get the image, normal image. And then in case of dopamine transporters, CFT analog has invented, and you can see the almost the same image pattern of the C11 rockrapide. Somewhat different, but I think almost the same. And here you can see the rockrapide, same image. And these are norepinephrine transporter imaging agent that has a high, I think maybe this is a BBB bone. I don't know exactly, but I think we can see that. Yeah, it's called. And DASB is a serotonin transporter imaging agent, but even after 48 hours, still we can see the almost same image quality. Because of that is the almost irreversible. I think all the receptor imaging agent that is a reversal. After some time, that is wash out from that receptor. But in case of this one, always increase this receptor, this transporter. So we think that is the highly potential for irreversible reaction with the serotonin transporter from the C11 DASP imaging. And these are the mGluR5 imaging from the ABP 688. This is my brain. So I don't know this is normal or not. We can see the imaging from our PET scanner. And also P-glycoprotein targeting one. If that C11 Verapamil is injected into our body, then we cannot see any signal. But after the cyclosporin loaded one, and then we can see the BBB here. So we can image it at P-glycoprotein in our brain. This is also my brain. Benzodiazepine receptor imaging, that is related with we can focus on the epilepsy foci. So we can make a F18 labeled plumagenial here, and you can see the normal imaging. And the other part is Alzheimer's disease imaging agent. As you know that Alzheimer is related with amyloid beta plaques, and then that is outside of the cell. We can detect PET agent. Year of 2002, they said that the C11 PIB can image that C11 image that amyloid beta plaque in the living brain. And after that, huge number of research is related with that amyloid plaque imaging. In case of this one is a C11 labeled one, so because of that C11 has a 20 minutes half-life, then they cannot sell outside of the production site. So every old radiochemist wants to make a F18 version of PIV. So huge amount of research fund is into that research. Then finally AV1, then AV45, and flutemetamol from G, and from AV1, AV14, PT1. So, but still, our professor in Verapamil Hospital, Kim Yugyong Kim, she said that the C11 PIV is best one. Yeah. So I don't know. Still, we have some kinds of opportunity to develop the F18 version of new amyloid beta plaque imaging agent. But still, she said that without any treatment drug for amyloid Alzheimer's disease, then you don't have to do the imaging, because after getting imaging, you will be a Alzheimer patient after 10 years, but you don't have any treatment drug now, so you have to wait like that. So I think that's why after diagnostic imaging is not important, not basic. No, that is fundamental. So treatment drug is fundamental. So that's why nowadays we want to make a therapeutic radiopharmaceutical. Every old in the world, they want to make a therapeutic radiopharmaceutical. But still, we have a chance to make if there are new drug for treatment of the amyloid plaque Alzheimer's disease. And also another part of Alzheimer's disease is the tau imaging. So that FDDMP can visualize that the amyloid plaque and tau deposit. So they said that both of target can visualize that from only one radiopharmaceutical. But in case of practical imaging from our Professor Yugyong Kim said that we should separate. So that's why after completion of the Alzheimer's amyloid beta plaque imaging agent, and then all the big pharma turning to the tau imaging agent. And nowadays tau imaging agent is almost completed, and then they start to the alpha synuclein. So I think this is the failure of the strategies failed. And then tau imaging, I think this is the first clinical imaging of the tau imaging from the NIR in Japan. They made a C11 labeled PBB3. They can visualize some part of tau deposition in the human brain. So that is the entirely different from the C11 PIV imaging. Also, we set up the C11 PBB3 in our hospital, and then you can see the normal imaging here. And next one is the tumor imaging agent. I think that is related with the glucose metabolism or amino acid metabolism or DNA synthesis and hypoxia imaging. We have a FDG or methionine FLT and meso and And also another one is the another imaging agent related with the RGD peptide that can visualize the tumor angiogenesis, and also receptor. Sometimes in estrogen receptor, you can see the estrogen derivatives, or sometimes we can label the anti-cancer agent directly. Then we can see the distribution of the anti-cancer agent. I think that FDG is a, I think you may know very well the FDG story. Sugar is the main energy source for the cell, and then metabolism, increased metabolism. You can see the image of the tumor site. So FDG is the stuck into the tumor cell because of that two the number 2 carbon possess the F18. Then they cannot process the biological process further. Then they stuck into the tumor cell. So you can see the FDG image from the cancer patient. And amino acid imaging, we can make normally methionine imaging from our hospital. So in case of methionine, we can use for a brain cancer. And DNA synthesis, we can use FLT or C11 thymidine. This is the almost same concept of the FDG. This FLT can not process the inside the cell. They cannot process the after the phosphorylation. So they contrast imaging, you can get the FLT C11 thymidine. So you can see here FLT. In case of Korea, we approved only for a lung cancer for use of FLT. And hypoxia, we can use the 2,9-3-imidazole. They can reduce inside of the hypoxic tissue. So we can use these 2,9-3-imidazole derivatives. We can label with the F18. So you can see the these images from one patient. These images from the other one patient. So you can see the high FDG uptake, but in case of mice image, you can see the one patient no means that this tumor has a normal condition. In case of this tumor has a hypoxic condition. So if hypoxic tumor, we have to increase the radiation dose or chemo drug, increase the concentration of chemo drug like that. So because chemo and then radio resistance tumor, we can see the meso image from. We can differentiate these two types of tumor. And angiogenesis image, we can see the peptide labeled with the F18 or gallium-68, and these RGD moiety can bind to the alpha-V beta-3 integrin. You can see the kinds of model image. We can see the high increasement of the ischemic muscle. And tumor receptor also, we can label the F18, the estrogen receptor or androgen receptor. We can see the FES. Also, that this FES is listed in the USP, so we can use as a house compounding compound. So, and DHT as a androgen receptor imaging. Sometimes paclitaxel can be labeled with the F18, and you can see the resistant or responder. You can differentiate the resistant or responder with the direct labeling of the anti-cancer agent. And heart imaging, we can see the metabolism from the FDG, the acetates, or C-level or F18 labeled fatty acid. And sometimes we can directly imaging of the receptor in the heart. So I think ammonia is the gold standard for myocardial imaging agent, but still C11 or F18 labeled palmitate as a radioisotope labeled fatty acid. Okay, so here's different radiopharmaceutical already we set up in our hospital, and so if you want to make your own C11 or F18 compound, then I think it will take more than 3 or 4 years. But still, we have that kinds of know-how, and then you can learn from us. Not so easy. That's very difficult, but I think we can do. Is there any question or comment, especially from Dhaka? Okay. Now I can hear you. Maybe this one. 이게 아니, 이것 때문에 그런가?
아니, 이거는 녹음.
아, 듣는데. Okay, then I think I can give my mic to Dr. Song. He can finish within 20 minutes. Maybe next time class will be the Theranos, our future. See next time.
Hello, before starting, I just would like to show one image. This is the 2019 image of the year from SNMMI, but I forgot to introduce this imaging agent at last lecture. So this agent is a imaging agent targeting the tumor-related fibroblast activation. So it is fibroblast activation protein inhibitor targeting agent. And as you can see, it has and it is labeled with gallium-68. So I was thinking about to introduce it last lecture from the generator produced radionuclide, but now I'm just showing, and I think this might be a new big agent that might be used in the near future, and so I think everyone might have quite interest here. So today I would like to go on for the cyclotron PET agents and its clinical implementation in Korea. So these are some right now approved or which can be used clinically. Microphone?
Be done.
Okay. Yeah. So these are some approved ones right now in Korea. So these can be used clinically. And first is the sodium fluoride PET, which can be used for the in the indication for bone metastasis. And C11 acetate can be used in the liver hepatocellular carcinoma. And FLT PET is indicated for lung cancer right now, and FPCIT for Parkinson, ammonia for coronary artery disease, and methionine for brain tumor, and parathyroid hyperplasia, prostate cancer, and lung cancer. And FDOPA for brain tumor and neuroendocrine tumor, and DOTATOC for neuroendocrine tumor, and like some agents for cognitive disorders. And recently, we also have got approval of FBT, which is used for the primary or recurrent brain tumor, and right now choline PET, the most recent for the prostate cancer, and parathyroid adenoma. So these are some agents that you can meet also in here Seoul National University and also in other institutes. And first, so I would like to discuss about some PET agents in oncology and some agents which are not non-FDG, because non-FDGs are most FDG PET, although is the widely used method, but we need to also have some interest in other non-FDG PET agents. And these agents are can be classified by their way of targeting. So some agents target the tumor by metabolism, and some by increased angiogenesis, and some by hypoxia. And also there are agents targeting the apoptosis, proliferations, and EGF epidermal growth factors, and other somatostatin receptors, bone metabolism, or like chemokine receptor, and also multi-drug resistance. So these all kind of can be a candidate for imaging tumor. And for the FDG PET, it has like false positive for the inflammation and physiologic uptake, and also false negative due to low FDG avid tumors. So we can widely we can classify some tumors as some which has FDG avid and which has like FDG non-avid tumors. So there are some need for other agents that to image the tumors, which is not capable by imaging by FDG imaging. So I would like to review some from here, and first is about the amino acid agents. And since the tumors has increased amino acid transporter, and also these amino acid transporter, these agents have very low uptake in the normal brain tissue. So when imaging brain tumors, we can have high tumor to normal tissue contrast, and these are some known amino acid transporter imaging agents. And for the methionine PET, as I told you earlier, the indication is now in Korea is for brain tumor, prostate tumor, lung cancer, and hyperparathyroidism. And this is some brief acquisition protocol right now. So after injection, we get the image 10 minutes after injection. And just a brief case. So patient had, which had a history of GBM, came after the radiation therapy, and the clinician wanted to know whether these T2 enhancing lesions were uh, T2 bright and T1 enhanced lesion was a recurrence or a necrosis or other factors related to the radiation change. So they had done a methionine PET, and as you can see, there has been a increased uptake, and the pathology finding found out it to be a glioblastoma recurrence. So these methionine PET can be used in the differential diagnosis and also in the diagnosis of recurrence, and it can also differentiate with whether it is a tumorous condition or not. And second, which has been recently approved, is FDG PET, and the indication is right now in Korea for two types of tumors. First is the brain tumor, and the diagnosis, grading, and recurrence and treatment planning. And second is for the neuroendocrine tumor, which is also for diagnosis, recurrence, and treatment planning. And this is some brief introduction for the preparation. And there are some patient preparation more specifically, since it is a drug agent targeting the dopamine transporter, dopamine receptor. It has some caution for suspension of such anti-Parkinsonian treatment, and like carbidopa pre-medication can be optionally done. And also after, so quite different imaging acquisition protocols are right now done for tumors. For the brain tumors, we get the image after 10 to 30 minutes after the injection. And for like whole body neuroendocrine tumor imaging, we do the image after 60 minutes. And the next is about the DNA synthesis. Since these malignant tumor cells have a high proliferative rate, the DNA synthesis is increased. So, and these also have very low uptake in the normal brain tissue. So these imaging agents also can have higher tumor to normal tissue contrast in the brain tumors. So right now for the FLT, it is for clinic in Korea, it is approved for the lung cancer response evaluation, and this is a introduction for the protocol, and we took the image after 6 minutes after the injection. And F18 choline is recently also approved agent, and it is a substrate for the synthesis of post-particular choline, which is a substrate of a cell membrane. So in Korea, it is now used for the prostate cancer and parasite adenoma imaging. And this is some brief of the imaging protocol right now. And this is a normal distribution of a choline PET, and as you can see, you can find out a high uptake in the liver, pancreas, and also this is excretion is made in dual pathways. So hepatobiliary excretion and urinary excretion are both, you can see both for the F18 choline. And some pitfalls of choline PET are reported, and the most highly reported cases were about inflammation and next following was the non-specific or from the benign tumors. So this is a case from our institute, a prostate cancer patient who had a radical prostatectomy, and because of the increasing PSA level, the patient went on for a colon PET, and as you can see in the MIP image, there was some focal uptake in the skull and in the upper thoracic cavity area. So from the transaxial image also you can see a bone metastasis involving the spine, T-spine, and also we could also identify a skull metastasis. So this patient was reported as a recurrent bone metastasis. Next is about the hypoxia, and tumor hypoxia is well recognized cause of resistance of radiation and chemotherapy. So imaging such hypoxia is quite important to recognize, to show the response or to predict the response of the therapy. And there are some imaging agents right now, and in Korea, the F-MISO is a clinically approved, and it is indicated for malignant tumors. And as you can see, some discordancy of the FDG and the hypoxia imaging agent. Usually you can see increased hypoxia imaging agent accumulated in the central part of the tumor, whereas FDG PET can be, whereas this very diffuse uptake can be acknowledged, seen in the FDG PET. And the second part is about the PET in cardiology. So for the cardiology imaging, there are some different parts we should see. So because it is a cardiovascular disease, the imaging, the coronary artery anatomy is the first part. So for the anatomic imaging, like CT or coronary angiography can be used. However, for a functional or other molecular imaging, nuclear medicine can be used. And first, for the vulnerable plaque, the sodium fluoride agent has some opportunity to be used. And right now, what I'm going to more focus on is some perfusion agents. And in our institute, we are right now using the ammonia PET. And for the motion and viability, these agents can be used. So right now in Korea, ammonia PET is indicated for the coronary artery disease, and it has quite well established clinical data, and it has high diagnostic accuracy and strong prognostic power. So it can give a consistent high quality image, and compared to the SPECT imaging, it has significantly low radiation exposure and also short acquisition protocols, which can be beneficial for the patient. And also as we do the dynamic protocol, we can quantify the myocardial blood flow from the ammonia PET. And this is a case of a patient with a dyspnea and angina, and this is a MPI perfusion image. And however, just looking at the stress and rest image, it is quite hard to recognize reversible perfusion defect. However, if we have done a quantification, and as you can see globally, the rest flow and flow reserve has been reduced significantly, and so And finally, from the CAG, this patient was concluded as cerebral vessel disease with diffuse coronary calcification. So such kind of disease can be more specifically identified using the ammonium PET. And the third part is about the PET in neurology, and there are several parts we can use. Although I think it's not here, we can also use the PET, FDG PET, for the epilepsy imaging. And the most widely used in here is for the imaging movement disorder. And we now are focused in imaging the dopamine transporter using the FPCIT PET imaging. And second one is, as Professor Lee also mentioned, of imaging dementia and cognitive disorder. So there are agents targeting the amyloid beta and tau. So in Korea, we are using the fluorobetaben and for the diagnosis of cognitive disorder. And there are no significant preparation for the patient. And we use near 8 millicurie injection, and we get the image after the 19-minute post-injection, we get the image. So you can just, for the example, we can see a normal image of the fluorobetaben in the left side, and you can also see a very diffuse cortical uptake of fluorobetaben as a positive case in the right side. So these are some summary of clinical implication right now using the cyclotron produced imaging agents in Korea. So thank you very much. So do you have any questions? Okay, then we will end this session today. Thank you very much, and we will meet next week.